Cool. Hey guys, it's lovely to see you. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on Ecomm Engine. What's the topic for this one? Launch faster, sell smarter. As you can tell, I'm not the professional host for these. I'm sorry. I'm just winging quite a lot of this. If it weren't for Caitlin, our marketing guru, like I'd have no idea what I'm doing. So yeah, still
is that you under promising to over deliver maybe?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And then I'm just going to deliver ecom knowledge like you've never seen it. No, lower your expectations, people. Lower them. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. So first of all, I'd like to introduce our wonderful speakers. We have Stella from Videowise and we have Barney from Dash. So as video continues to be on the rise, brands are, using video more and more to promote products, and we're seeing increase in things like TikTok Live and Facebook selling and all this stuff that all the young people do. I no longer identify as young because I turn 30 next year, so thank you. We'll be talking about that, and also the fact that with all of these videos comes the issue of storage, which is where Dash can help us out. So I'm looking forward to hearing some practical tips, some real world insights, and cutting through all of the confusion. So first of all, if I could ask you both to introduce yourself in a far better fashion than I can do, that would be really grateful, starting with you, Barney, and just a little oversight of what Dash do.
Of course, yeah. Hello, everyone, and thank you for having me, Rose. So I'm Barney, the marketing lead for Dash, and Dash is a visual content management tool for e-commerce brands. So we'll get brands coming to us from Drive and Dropbox who are fed up of storing all their creative on those like shared drives, and as they grow, it becomes really hard to find things. And when you've got so much content coming in from content creators and influencers, UGC product shoots, if you don't have an organized system to store all of that creative, it's going to be really hard to grow. So yeah, that's where Dash comes in.
Fantastic, thank you. I'll be quizzing you more later, so
Please
thank you so much. And Stella.
First of all, Rose, pleasure to see you again. Barney, nice to meet you. Looking forward to this. I'm Stella. I'm the head of sales at Videowise, and Videowise is your all-in-one video commerce platform that is built in a fashion which inspires the audience, engages the audience, and ultimately very efficiently converts the audience into really, really loyal customers. I know we're going to dive into hows and whys later, but have in mind that we don't have impact on page speed, and we come right after you store your content to optimize it for further engagement with the shoppers on site, but also off site.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Quick question to you guys. Like, I'm going completely off script. What's Caitlin going to do? She's going to fire me? I don't think so. Worst Christmas tradition or like food, something that's like totally overrated. Like, what would you say? I mean, for me personally, I'm just going to throw it out there. Turkey. I think it's disgusting. Someone once looked at a turkey and went, "We should eat that." What were they thinking? They're awful. Anyway, sorry. Go on.
I mean, we're in Europe, so we don't do Thanksgiving where turkey is insanely big. I started switching turkey with like duck over the last 2 years, so you might enjoy it. Exactly. And a lot of veggies because my mom is semi-vegetarian, so I need to cater all the requirements. Yeah,
I too identify as semi-vegetarian.
I also occasionally eat vegetables.
I eat them during summer, to be quite honest. But let me think on this. Barney, go first. The tackiest Christmas tradition.
Oh yeah, I'm doing that thing where my mind is panicking, shutting down. But I think this is quite a boring one. But in my family, we would always open presents before, in the morning for Christmas dinner, and it was always very like rushed, and you can really like enjoy opening the presents. So increasingly, I feel like opening them after Christmas dinner, where it's like something to like look forward to in that sort of weird dead space where everyone's just really sleepy after eating loads. It's like an extra little thing.
Okay, as someone who opens all her presents at like 6 a.m, I'm going to have to utterly disagree with you there, Barney. Yeah, sorry about that. Like, love that for you though. Stella, do you have like kind of traditional like British Christmas traditions now you're over here, or like what do you tend to do?
I mean, I know that you see me in London quite frequently, but I'm actually still in Central Europe, not planning to. I am. I like my Alps and proximity of the Adriatic Sea, to be quite fair. But my sister is living in the UK. I'm actually celebrating Christmas with her, and she started incorporating British traditions. Although we're standing tall and proud. But one of my least favorite things are those dried Christmas cakes with raisins and dried fruits in it. The ones that you cut with
Traditional
tea
Christmas
in the
cake.
yeah, it
No.
like stinks my apartment, and I really, really don't like it. So that would be my no go for any Christmas. And she's bringing like 2 packages from the UK this year, and I'm like, not in my flat. Give it
No.
away, but I'm not taking it. Sorry, guys.
I'll take them.
I
Send them to
think
me.
if you actually ask quite a lot of British people, we'd all agree we don't like Christmas cake, but we're just not talking about it. That's a very British thing to do. We just sort of like get on with things and we don't say how much we dislike them. I do it with my own
Rose, I'm going to
family.
hard disagree with you because I love Christmas cake. Like with marzipan icing, like I'm here for it. So
I am getting
Barney's not
half
a real
British.
Brit.
It is. It's happening. I'm
Yeah.
getting more British
Yeah.
than Barney is. Very nice.
yeah,
Very
there you
nice.
go.
Well, I've learned so much, guys. I mean, I've learned that Stella's not actually in the UK. I've learned that I'm a semi-vegetarian. I've learned Barney's one of the only people who likes Christmas cake. We're learning a lot here today. Awesome. So, back from Christmas conversation. So, I'm probably onto the topic because I know that I'm going to get my P45 when I finish this call, so I might as well go out with a bang. So obviously creating compelling video content is no longer just a marketing tactic. It's quite a necessity for modern brands, and we're seeing it more and more where brands are having to get in front of that TikTok Live or Facebook Live, whatever the hell it is now, to physically sell their brands. It's like we've gone full circle from like tele shopping. It's just we do it all from our phones instead. So whether that's social media or on their website or through like retail partnerships, video is definitely one of the most effective ways to engage your customers and to tell your brand story, showcase your products. But with the growing demand for video, there's obviously the issue of managing and sharing these creative assets that you have to store to go on your website and social. See, Barney, how I nicely segued in there? Like,
Beautiful,
doing it.
seamless.
Thank you. So here we're going to discuss how brands can streamline their video processes. So ensuring all your assets are organized, easily accessible, and ready to share with your teams and your retail partners. And we'll also take a bit of a deep dive into how you can use video to drive online sales through things like shoppable content and live streaming and all those terrifying things that influencers do these days. So, starting with a question for you both. So, starting with Stella. So, why is video content so powerful for modern day brands?
I'd say there are 2 angles to this. One being,
Okay.
why is it relevant for brands in terms of how do they stand out in the market? And then the second one being, why is it important for customer retention? Because, over the last few years, you don't have a few hundreds of skincare brands anymore. You have a few thousands or a few hundreds of thousands skin brands. They're emerging daily in the market. And the question for brands became, how do I stand out? And how do I pass the message about who I am and why am I unique, basically, to the audience that you would like to retain and turn into loyal customers? So I think the power of video is, from the standpoint of audience, solving a big pain point, which is that the audience the brand is trying to reach is having shorter and shorter attention span, which is kind of atrocious. You cannot rely on images anymore. You can write the most beautiful product descriptions on your product pages, but nobody is going to read about that. So the power of video jumps in the momentum in which we're trying to humanize your brand and put a face behind it and say, hey, I'm as human as you are. And here is a person who understands your pain points. While on the other side, all the questions and concerns that the customer might have in that entire process are being answered in 5 to 10 seconds of a short form video, rather than person rereading the description and still not knowing what is that peptide or 100% organic cotton. No, show it in the video. Show the person they can resonate with. Show it in a sense that they see the twirl of the dress. Show them a testimonial. And at the end of the day, give them the chance to interact with the brand themselves and not to solely rely on them reading those product details that became very boring. So that would be like my 5 cents, just because we've seen that the audience that engages with video content on site in a lot of different shapes and forms is 3 to 4 times more likely to convert, and even more important, to remain a loyal customers, rather than brands who don't have those visual multi-touch point frames built around the site.
That's brilliant. Thank you. I mean, that was a hell of an answer. And Barney, you've got quite a lot to kind of live up to there. So I'm going to throw a slightly different question at you, because there was a lot covered there in why video is so important. And I think Stella sort of wrapped up some of the main key points, like how we, especially with people doing more and more online shopping, when you're not there to physically to see or to touch a product, you want to see it in action. So I guess then looking at the quality of that video, what are some of the key benefits would you say about investing in high quality video, even though obviously there then comes the issue of storage and investment in the cameras and that sort of thing?
Well, I think it depends on what you mean by high quality. I think because I think there's space for video that's both very almost like editorial, that gets across your brand in a very polished way. But if we're meaning high quality, to also mean you're trying to get your video to do a purpose. So I think UGC, for example, user generated content, it's not high quality per se, but yeah, it's not high quality per se, but it is really like it's actual people who are like you using products that you're like the e-commerce brand that you're representing is selling. So I think with any video content strategy, you really need to be mindful of those two separate strands. There's one approach you can take, which is very, like I said, very editorial, introduces your brand and the ethos, but then that's going to fall quite flat and feel quite hollow, especially if you're trying to be on platforms like TikTok, for example, who really like favor this sort of much rawer, like personal sort of video editing. It's going to fall flat if you don't have some sort of UGC strategy to offset some of the polished stuff.
Okay, cool. And actually, I'm going to segue into that as well, with UGC being kind of quite a popular way for people to get reviews and insights into how their customers feel. Barney, another question for you. What tip would you provide to brands on how to manage like all that different UGC content coming in?
Yeah. Well, there's a few things. I think just before I touch on the managing, I think in order to get started, I think there's a bit of a perception that getting started with UGC is going to be a massive undertaking and it's going to cost a lot, but it doesn't necessarily need to. If you pick the right consumers and the right influencers, it can really have a massive effect on your brand. Like I was talking to Rhiannon, who's the head of brand at Piglet in Bed, and they within a few years launched on TikTok and grew to I think 100,000 followers in a few years, just by like zeroing in on their like core demographic with UGC, which really got across their sort of cottagecore content and did really well for them.
Oh, I love cottagecore. I get
right?
it.
I know.
Yeah.
I just want to live in it. I want to live in their TikTok feed, but they do such a good job of it, and I think it's like a good inspiration, like success story. But in order to make a success of it, you need to think about making it as easy as possible for consumers to send in their UGC. So one angle of it is more like a social monitoring, where you can use tools to look for brand mentions and product mentions, and then you DM them. Or you could have stuff on your website like after checkout, which encourages people to submit UGC.
Yes.
And rather than like having to deal with all that manually, if you are serious about growing your UGC program, a tool like Dash could come in handy, because you can send guest upload links, for example, which is just a simple link that you would send to people whose content you're trying to use. They would just upload it really simply, and you would get a notification that there's content ready to approve. So rather than it live in your like email inbox or lost in a Google Drive folder where no one else can use it, it's sort of another way to get like a centralized library of your brand content.
Brilliant. Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And I'd like to continue on the theme of UGC. So Stella, could you add any like kind of best ways that brands can turn UGC, like things like product reviews, testimonials, into like shoppable content?
I mean, that's kind of our specialty. So from turning only shoppable videos and relying on it, we started relying on UGC to the extent that exactly what Barney was talking about. We do offer a solution that is also allowing brands to detect by different hashtags, but also to collect pieces from the audience that is on the site. So it's not influence relationships. It's actually the audience that you have currently buying that can upload the video in return for a 10% discount code or a thank you note or, mention, which is quite important when we talk about the sense of community building from the brand standpoint, and not solely being, ooh, I'm Fenty Beauty and this is who Ariana is, So I kind of feel that the power of UGC is currently representing that social proof for brands. That is the perfect connection between untrust, the audience that is still learning about your brand and the brand itself. What we do with UGC is that we always help and advise our clients in terms of which pieces to use, how to use it. Should it be an automatized TikTok feed or automatized Insta feed, or should we handpick pieces and then strategically place them on product pages, on collection pages, home pages, or should we maybe build a learning center in entirety? So what we do and how we leverage UGC is that it all starts with consulting the brand and evaluating content that they have, and then bringing up a strategy that is highlighting a specific KPI that brand had in question. Like if we are focusing on uplift and conversions, we will strategically place small carousels with shoppable elements on PDPs, where every single product page is going to have only UGC highlighting the usage of that product, or a skincare routine, for instance, or a style inspo, or for instance, a testimonial if it's about a nutrition brand or a pet food brand, Then at the same time, we have a fantastic feature that is called channels that is organizing UGC on site. You can have 100 videos strategically categorized by, like if you're a hair care brand, by type of a hair, issue that you have with the hair, specific length of hair. And then the audience can search between different categories of that UGC to consume content that resonates with their particular need in that exact moment. So for us, it starts with what is the UGC that you have and where does it come from? And then we build the UGC strategy depending on what is the KPI you would like to achieve on your store. And then from then, you end up having this really beautifully designed visual shopper experience for the audience, which all relies on the social proof coming from the people and creators that are just like you. Not celebrities, not high quality studio editorial videos, but people that you see on your FYP page every day or on your Insta channels that speak to you. And this is where the bunny trick lies. This is where the conversion lies. You have the audience just clicking, engaging, and the shoppable component is here to make it easier, because from a single click, when all of your questions are answered from that piece of video, you click add to cart and we're taking you to the checkout page, and this is where the shopper journey ends. So we're big on UGC from like early starts of gathering to actually placing it on your store so it converts in the most efficient way.
Brilliant, thank you. Yeah, like there's so much there that I learned about. Like I've never really kind of considered the in-depth that goes into the kind of user-generated content and the impact it has on brand customers, and like you say, that trust that it builds. I guess looking kind of going back from UGC and looking kind of like at an overall successful ad campaign where there's so much going into it, there's videos, there's images and everything. Barney, can I throw in the question of can you share like the importance of an efficient creative asset management tool, which is what you guys do, like how it contributes to the success of a big ad campaign?
Yeah, of course. I think there's a few avenues to that. So it depends. Well, a lot of e-commerce brands will be working with ad agencies. So I think when you're working with any sort of external partner, if you don't have a proper storage system where you're able to like search by images and videos by like product or SKU codes or like campaign, etc., if it's all just on a Drive or Dropbox, then you're going to be spending a lot of like manual time when you're working with an external partner, going back and forth, being like, do you have this new product line? No, they're in here. Like you're going to be like drowning in WeTransfer links, and you're probably going to be spending a lot of time like fielding all those sort of requests. Whereas if you have a system that your ad agency, for example, feel really comfortable using themselves, where they can just self-service and search for the product shots that they need, which they know, and they can like scroll through everything and check, see themselves like what sort of product shots are going to make really compelling ads. And I'm talking both like still images and videos. Then you're going to speed up the time it takes to get that ad campaign live. And when it's a large campaign as well, I think going back to the creative process too, you'll have a lot of different parts. You'll have your designers, your like photographers creating the content, which if you're an e-commerce marketer or a brand designer, you'll have to be sifting through all of that manually if you don't have some sort of system in place where you're able to collect all of that together, go through the shots, leave feedback, like reject the ones that don't work, approve the ones that do. It's just going to take a lot longer to get the campaign live, basically. And you're going to be doing a lot of manual to and fro fielding requests, sort of being a bit of like an archivist when that's really not what your job is. And there's like other things that you could be doing, like launching the campaign itself. So that's one thing we find with our e-commerce brands that who are using Dash. It's really like speeding up the time it takes to get those ad campaigns live and helping their ad agencies and external partners service themselves so they don't have to be answering like endless Slacks and emails.
Okay, cool, brilliant, thank you. And quick question for you both then, and I mean like quick question because I've still got quite a lot to get through and I'm conscious that we've got like 8 minutes left. So what in your opinions are types of video content that you feel perform best in terms of like driving purchases, customer engagement, etc.?
I mean,
I'll start with you, Stella.
yeah, I can speak from the on-site, off-site, like retention of momentum. We don't discriminate because for some brands, if you have high quality produced video content that is for your product gallery, it's going to be quite fabulous. And this is what we support without impact on page speed for fashion brands, for instance. But at the same time, if you are a brand that sells, for instance, supplements or any sort of, consumer packaged good, for instance, the power of UGC is something that works remarkably well. Same for skincare, because like if you want to sell a bundle of products from a foundation to concealer to shadow to the eyeliner and to the mascara, it's very useful to have a real person showcasing how to use all of the 6 products in their skincare routine and then highlighting those 6 products to make it easier for the audience to buy. So for us, it depends on what's the goal that the brand wants to achieve, what's the specific target in terms of the audience they would like to showcase the product to, and then that's it. Like also what's the placement on the store? Is it going to be a carousel? Is it going to be a hero banner? Is it going to be piece embedded across the product gallery? But it all has its why. What is the type of high converting content that resonates well? My favorite is UGC, just because I resonate with it. I love to see the UGC. I will trust the person and I will buy because of the UGC content. So I'd say I'll go on that end, although the high quality ones are really gorgeous to look at, but UGC is what drives conversions ultimately.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've got one in the camp for UGC. What about yourself, Barney? What were your thoughts?
Well, I was going to talk briefly about ads, but I just wanted to throw this in there because I thought Stella would like it. Our head of sales was on a call last week with a beauty brand, and they said 70% of sales from their product pages were attributed to video commerce elements. So I thought you might like that.
I'll ask you who is the brand after this. So
well, yeah, we can share. Yeah. But yeah, so I think Stella just covered the UGC and like product page videos. So I'll talk a little bit about ads. And there isn't really video ads, there isn't really like a one size fits all. But I think one thing I've seen brands do increasingly, well, like a few of them, especially on like trying to make TikTok advertising successful, there's a few brands doing some really interesting stuff where I think when you're like scrolling through TikTok, stuff that feels very like sort of disrupts the flow, like, oh, I'm watching an ad now, and makes you want to swipe. So there are some brands out there recently, like Meridian, who are a personal grooming brand. They do really cool ads which really tap into the sort of ASMR content, and it feels very native to the app that you're on. And it took me a while, like I got one on my feed, it took me a while to figure out I was actually watching an app. Watching an ad. So yeah, I think we'll see more of that increasingly, especially as like Instagram pushing Reels for the past few years. Stuff that feels very like almost sort of tricks you into it takes you a while to
fallen for a few of those. It's ASMR, is that the
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there's also like this one was quite like there's stuff satisfying things about like cleaning. So it's like a grooming device, but it'll be sort of like cutting grass or like sort of scraping like foam and stuff away. It's just sort of interesting, but it does a really good job of like keeping you hooked.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I found the kind of the launch into like the TikTok world and everything. It was only a matter of time before it was going to become like a selling platform. But like you say, the ads are getting cleverer and cleverer. And I'm always one of these smug people that's like, oh, I'm not on TikTok. I don't use TikTok. And then I'll sit on like Facebook Reels and watch them for like an hour at a time. And like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm exactly the same person, just like the OAP version. Awesome. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
boomer.
So I'm sorry. So also millennial, thank you. So I'm going to ask a final question of you both before I go to our audience for Q&A. So a question for you, Stella. What would you say the key social selling strategies are that brands should be leveraging in 2024 / going through to 2025?
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, live shopping being obviously a very, very obvious answer. I would love to take this a level up just because for us, social selling starts from the point in which you sync your TikTok and Instagram channel with our library from where we optimize the assets and then convert them into those shoppable components, which means that social selling for us isn't necessarily limited only on social media platforms. We can leverage the strategy so you're targeting multi channels and not only relying on social media. So I would say that first two things that brands should have in mind going into 2025 is utilizing your video content for also on-site experiences and kind of turning your on-site experience in your Shopify store, your store in general, into a channel of its own. Utilize the UGC and add the shoppable component. Turn a UGC into a quiz so you can navigate the journey for the shoppers. Do a live on your store just because it's simpler for folks to buy and to learn more about the brands if you have a live show happening on your site. Like we had a fabulous live stream yesterday, and in a very short amount of time, the brand that was having it passed the mark of 6,000 euros in earning, which was quite major just because they usually turn that in a single week. So the power of leveraging your social media content on your site and turning it into a stream or into an interactive element is really something that will continue to drive conversions further also on your site. Because if you're just focusing on social media channels that are kind of like in their own bubble, you will not get way far. You will have to focus on traffic acquisition when it comes to those channels. While at the same time, all of those audiences will be landing on your homepage and on your store thanks to paid media ads or very, very diligently executed media buying campaigns. So focus on what you have, just utilize it in a social commerce sense on your site, and then this is where you can then start tracking the uplifting conversion on your site as well, while targeting multiple channels at the same time.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Some super insights there. And a final question for you, Barney, before I go over to the audience. So Stella's talked obviously about the importance of video content, and all the different multiple ways that it be used to promote brands. What would you say are going to be the common challenges that brands could face if they don't have a streamlined system for managing creative assets? So kind of like a plug for Dash, but like a casual plug, like
Yeah.
putting it out
Okay. Casual plug incoming. It's going to be hard for you to grow, like, period. Like, if you think of the amount of visual content, like static images, ad graphics, like video, all of this that an e-commerce brand needs to create in order to succeed, it's like staggering. Like, even like the smaller brands now, like 10 employees plus, the amount of content that they need to sustain their channels is insane, and it's only going to get more. So the top reason like brands come to us, like brands like Beavertown and Passenger Clothing, it's because they want to grow, and the systems that they're using are just making it really impossible to do that. So when you're like onboarding new teams, when you're working with retail partners and like your external ad agency, if you're able to build a content library of all of your like visual assets where you can search by product and all of that, give them the keys to it, in a controlled way so they can service themselves, then you're going to be saving a lot of toil, and it also makes it really easier. It makes it easier to onboard new employees as well, and you're going to be reducing waste as well. So rather than having to commission new photo shoots or like spend hours searching for specific shots, by having everything in one place where you're able to search it, it means you can get the most out of the content that you are creating, which is really important if you want to grow. So the UGC that we're talking about, rather than that live on someone's shared drive, if it's up in a centralized system like Dash, where it's all tagged properly and like your social media team can use it, your ad agency can turn it into like cool like TikTok ads, your like retail partners can put it on there, like if they're like an e-commerce marketplace and they have some like social shopping elements, they can use that on their website. It just makes it an awful lot easier to do the work that a lot of e-commerce brands care about, which is basically to grow. So that's was that casual enough?
That was such a casual plug. That was so good. You should work there. You're very good.
I should, yeah. Do you think they'll hire me?
Hopefully we'll send them this and hopefully they'll hire you.
Thanks.
Awesome. Well, to any of the viewers, questions are now open, so any questions you have, please do post them. I had 1 or 2 submitted prior to the webinar, so I will ask those while we're waiting, and then if any come through we can ask those. So in terms of like budget, so obviously all of these ideas are great, like all of Stella's thoughts on video, all of Barney's thoughts on how to store said video and images. Budgets, when it comes to like social selling effectively, how can people do it without the big budgets? Stella, I'll start with you.
I mean, we work on a monthly subscription.
Casual plugging is allowed, but just like casual.
I'll keep it as casual as possible. For us, it's quite simple because we don't have one fixed rate for brands. It's not because we guarantee uplifting conversion, we will charge you for digit numbers. We operate in tiers, and we have monthly subscription model that is built directly to Shopify API, which means that you would go in, you would be on the lowest one. You would probably pay the same lowest plan if you're a small brand every single month. And at the same time, you get first 3 weeks to test it out for free without any limitations. So organizing your content for us and then posting it on your site is not something you need a huge budget for. We know how good we are. We know how it works. And just because it works, we also have to take into the account that not every brand is as big as the previous one. Hence why we like to accommodate the volumes and sizes of every single brand and personally cater to what is their budget at that point, and not, get them into annual contracts and force them into paying annual fees. No, go by month by month, see when your high peak is, see if it works for you, stop it for a month, come back, you have full control over it. So this is how we approach the issue of brands potentially not having budgets, custom tailoring the experience, basically.
Excellent, thank you. That was the perfect level of like casual plug. Not too much plug, just a little bit of plug. Thanks, Stella. Awesomely done. Well done. I've just noticed as well that you guys sort of have like your little teeny tiny earbuds in, and I feel like I'm about to pilot a plane, so I'm co-working.
Yes,
just so
I'm hearing it as well.
Yeah, like ladies and gentlemen. And quickfire are too tight to buy me AirPods. Okay. So yeah, sorry about that. And Barney, same question to you in terms of. In fact, no, I'm going to throw a different question at you.
Go for it.
Which was another, because I'm conscious of time. And another question we got was what tips you'd give brands looking to improve their asset management and campaign speed, which is super broad. So I'd say kind of like try and narrow it down a little bit.
Okay.
Plug as if you work for Dash. No, I'm joking.
Okay, well, I mean, yeah, use Dash basically. How's that for a plug? But
that's genuinely
like, it's sort of what I've already mentioned about like the saving time and efficiency, and also like this being lost in like mazes of folders, trying to find assets. Like, it's not fun work. Like, it's not something that an e-commerce marketer or creative wants to be doing. So I think having a system also, like, it's about trying to save you all of that manual toil when you're under pressure to grow as well. Again, I was talking to Kim, who's the like marketing head of a beauty brand called Revere. They're like a reverse hairdryer, which is really cool. Like, it's much better for your hair. And they use Dash, and she was estimating it saves her marketing team 20 hours a month. So I think that's also, when you're looking at the sort of cost benefit analysis, cost isn't just financial, it's also like time and like job satisfaction, which I think something like
100%.
Dash can really help with. If you're not going to use Dash, if you're going to stick with Google Drive for now, I think being able to have a organized system, which this is much easier said than done, but that everybody who's uploading content to that folder structure and downloading assets from agrees on, and that works for them. It shouldn't be one person's job to like maintain consistency of like folder names and like file names. Like that would be like so depressing, and I don't think any like company should be asking one person to do that. So yeah, if you're not going to go with Dash and you're going to stick with Driver Dropbox for now, just making sure everybody agrees on that folder structure and it works for everybody.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Well, guys, look, thank you so much for joining today. I'm super grateful, and there's loads of insights there that have been really helpful. I'm gonna like wrap it up, but like a final question to you both, which is just a personal. Are there any, and you can say no, all video content's great. Are there any like current trends or like things you're seeing on like videos that are like just an absolute ick for you? Like things that you, I mean, for me, it's that, what is it, ASMR? Is that the term for it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the one with all the clicking and everything,
Yeah.
the long nails. I'm not sure. I can't cope with them. Absolutely not. But are there any you're seeing like brands do which you're a bit like,
yeah,
please stop doing that?
Yeah, I have one because even though I'm older than you, Rose, but I do spend an embarrassingly amount of time on TikTok. I think it's like brand
Older than me.
sponsored.
You look like my son. Like
I
that's
thought,
unreal.
yeah, I
Carry
thought
on.
he's younger.
SPF. But it's brands, I think they're like sort of shadow sponsoring like creators, and they're like, I see a lot for a certain protein bar, I'm not going to name shame, but they're like, someone at insert company is going to get fired for this because right now you can get it on like 40% discount.
Oh.
And when you just see it a lot, like, yeah, it's that gives me the ick.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, and it's just like, I shouldn't be telling you this, guys. It's
Yeah,
like, shut
exactly.
up. You've literally been paid.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
the equivalent of, do you remember those like banner ads that's like dentists hate this one mum like in like suburbia for this like yeah.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. That's so true. Okay, cool. That's a fantastic one. I hadn't even thought of that one. Stella, you got any to add, or you just like love all video content? It's all wonderful.
No, I specifically came across one, which is you thinking it's like a normal account, which is highlighting I was moving from a country to a country, and these are the 6 things I did, or I'm planning a wedding, and these are the 6 things I did. And then you kind of feel it's like a normal user, but then like slide 5, it's I used which is currently only available on Amazon, for instance.
Oh.
And I'm like, yeah, for the first few times, I was like, this is organic. And then I was like, why are people using the same sentence across 10 different accounts? And I started realizing that there are brands who like buy a lot of accounts and then use the same strategy and replicate it. And I just started like blocking all of them because it's so transparent and it's so obvious and it ruins the flow for me. But Barney's example is actually a great one because it's also an ick of mine, to be quite fair. And other than these 2, yes, I love all video content. So it's just 2 for me, which is very much, if you ask a person working with you, you see.
Excellent. I love that. So to any brands watching this, either now live or on replay, it'll be available afterwards to look to watch on our YouTube channel. Yeah, listen to these icks. Okay, like this is helpful. This is useful. This is user generated feedback. You're welcome. So thank you so much, both of you. So once again, to anyone looking to manage the multiple assets like images, videos, etc., speak to Barney at Dash. He'll be happy to help you. And you've heard him do his salesy plug, and he does it beautifully. And to anyone looking to boost their video content and to really get to grips with how to sell products using video, speak to Stella. She's awesome, and she eats duck for Christmas. What a gal. So thank you
and look
so
how
much.
festive her apartment is.
So festive. I love it.
There you
love it.
go. All the festivity, all the
This is
Christmas
Very
so
lights.
nice.
beautiful. I feel like, yeah,
I'm
this place
huge on
just needed
decor.
made
I'm
an
like a
effort.
decor festivities junkie. It's insane. I start like mid-November and they don't stop until end of January. So I'm sorry about that, but
I love that for you. I just
Don't
keep the fairy
apologise.
lights up all year round because they look so pretty. So yeah, thank you so much, both of you, for joining us. And yeah, like I said, anyone watching this wants to watch any previous episodes as well, they're available on our channel. But thank you, Stella and Barney. And if I don't speak to you before, have a wonderful Christmas.
you
Likewise. Thanks
too.
for having us.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
See
See you guys later. Cheers.
Well, bye.
Bye.